As you find yourself in the Garden of Dreams, imagine Saint Germain appearing before you, enveloping you in a spiral of violet light that purifies your mind, body, and spirit. The violet flame is a symbol of transformation and renewal, and it is here to help you release all the worries and tensions of the day. Take a deep breath, filling your lungs with air, and feel the violet flame moving through your body as you slowly exhale, dissolving all barriers and obstacles that prevent you from finding peace and serenity. With each slow inhale and exhale, imagine the violet flame purifying your thoughts, emotions, and energies, making you lighter, freer, and more connected to your true essence. Welcome to Sacred Sleep Whisper, the channel where your nights become portals to a magnificent life. Today we are entering a special place where the flowers of sleep bloom and the stars shine softly. This is the Garden of Dreams, a place where imagination and reality blend, and where you can find the peace and serenity you seek. Breathe deeply, dear listener, and feel embraced by the loving energy flowing through you. Imagine yourself walking along a winding path that leads you to a secret garden where the most beautiful and exotic flowers bloom under the moonlight. Now let's continue our journey through the Garden of Dreams. Feel the gentle breeze carrying the scent of wildflowers, while golden lines dance around you, connecting you to the infinite flow of the universe. Saint Germain speaks to you, saying, "The light you radiate is your true essence. You are a shining light that can illuminate the path for yourself and others. Trust your own light and let it guide you on your journey. Now, repeat after me. I am light. I am renewal. I am pure potential." Feel the violet flame moving through your body, activating your inner energy and connecting you to your source of inspiration and creativity. As the violet flame continues to move through your body, imagine a golden sphere forming around you, with silver rays weaving a protective and calming force field. This barrier keeps negative energy and external influences at bay, allowing you to connect with your own energy and true essence. Breathe deeply again, dear listener, and feel the force field strengthening around you. Imagine that you are safe, protected, and at the center of your energy. Feel the calm and serenity emanating from this force field, and allow them to be absorbed by your body and mind. The guardian of the Garden of Dreams approaches you with a warm smile. She says, "Welcome, dear traveler, to the Garden of Dreams. I am here to guide you on your journey and help you discover the secrets of this magical place." The guardian of the Garden of Dreams offers you a small object. It is a clear quartz crystal that glows with a soft, calming light. She says, "This crystal is a gift for you. It will help you connect with your own energy and the energy of the Garden of Dreams. It will also protect you from any negative influences and help you maintain calm and serenity on your journey." You hold the clear quartz crystal in your hands and feel its soft, calming energy. The crystal seems to vibrate at a gentle frequency, and you can feel your own energy aligning with it. The guardian of the Garden of Dreams smiles and says, "Yes, the crystal is working to help you connect with your own energy and the energy of the Garden of Dreams. Feel the calm and serenity emanating from the crystal and allow them to be absorbed by your body and mind." You close your eyes and breathe deeply, feeling the crystal's energy moving through your body. You begin to feel more relaxed and calm, as if all tensions and worries are being dissolved by the crystal. The guardian of the Garden of Dreams begins to speak in a soft and calming voice, helping you relax even further. She says, "Imagine that you are floating in a lake of crystal clear water with the sun shining above you. Feel the pleasant temperature of the water and the gentle breeze caressing it. Imagine that you are releasing all tensions and worries as if they are being carried away by the water. Feel the calm and serenity emanating from the lake and allow them to be absorbed by your body and mind. Now imagine that you are sinking into the lake, feeling the water closing over you. Feel the pressure of the water, but do not worry, for you are safe and protected. You are sinking into a state of deep relaxation, where all tensions and worries are released. You ask the guardian of the Garden of Dreams, "What is happening? Why am I sinking into the lake?" The guardian of the Garden of Dreams smiles and says, "You are sinking into the lake because you are ready to release all the tensions and worries that were holding you back." The lake is a symbol of the subconscious mind, and by sinking into it, you are allowing your subconscious to begin working in your favor. By sinking into the lake, you are giving permission for your subconscious mind to process all the information and experiences you had during the day. This will help you release all tensions and worries and connect with your true essence. The guardian of the Garden of Dreams continues, "Moreover, the lake is also a symbol of purification and renewal. By sinking into it, you are allowing yourself to be purified and renewed, preparing for a new journey in your life." The guardian of the Garden of Dreams begins to speak in a soft and calming voice, helping you activate your potentials. She says, "Imagine that you are sinking into the lake, and at the same time, you are connecting with your true essence. Feel the energy of creativity and inspiration flowing through your body. Imagine that you are becoming more confident and secure, more connected with your intuition and inner wisdom. Feel the sensation of being able to achieve anything you want, to overcome any obstacle, and to reach your goals. Now, repeat after me. I am capable. I am confident. I am connected with my true essence. Feel the energy of the affirmation moving through your body and allow it to become a reality in your life. You continue to sink into the lake, feeling the cool, tranquil water around you. The guardian of the Garden of Dreams smiles and says, "You are doing very well, dear traveler. You are allowing yourself to sink into the subconscious mind and connect with your true essence. Imagine that you are sinking into an ocean of wisdom and knowledge. Feel the depth of the water and the pressure of it, but do not worry, for you are safe and protected." By sinking into the ocean, you are connecting with the source of all things. You are connecting with the energy of creation and manifestation. Feel the energy of possibility and abundance flowing through your body. The guardian of the Garden of Dreams begins to tell an inspiring story. She says, "There is a story of a traveler who sank into the ocean of the subconscious mind and discovered the source of all things. He found that the source was a pure and loving energy that flowed throughout the universe. The traveler connected with the source and felt filled with peace and serenity. He felt connected with all things and all beings. He felt as one with the universe." Now, imagine that you are that traveler. Imagine that you are connecting with the source of all things. Feel the energy of unity and connection flowing through your body. Imagine that you are rising from the lake, feeling the cool, tranquil water around you. Feel the sensation of connecting with the physical world, but also feel the connection with the subconscious mind. Now repeat after me mentally. "I am connected with my true essence. I am filled with peace and serenity. I am one with the universe." Feel the energy of the affirmation moving through your body and allow it to become a reality in your life. Let's move on to the second story to further soothe your sleep. With each step she took, Elodie felt something alive pulsing beneath her feet. The garden breathed. It saw her. The silence of dawn enveloped the small village of Saint-Laurent-sur-Mer in Normandy like a soft blanket of salty breeze. Among verdant hills and ancient vineyards lay a property forgotten by time, le Jardin des Rêves, the Garden of Dreams. It was said that long before the village was built, this was a sacred place where travelers sought peace. But over time, the garden became just a legend, until Elodie arrived. Elodie was a young woman who always felt out of place in the real world. After years of struggling with insomnia and an inexplicable sense of emptiness, she decided to spend some time at her late grandmother's house, an old property near the mysterious garden. What she didn't know was that her nights would never be the same again. On her first night there, as the moon reflected on the dusty windows, Elodie began to feel something different in the air. A sweet aroma of wildflowers filled the room, and a cool breeze brushed against her skin. With a shiver down her spine, she closed her eyes and tried to relax, until she heard a whispering voice. "Come to the garden, traveler. The dream awaits you." She opened her eyes suddenly. Her racing heart tried to convince her mind that it was just a dreamy reverie, but something inside her knew it wasn't. The following night, the same call. And on the third night, when she could no longer resist, she rose from her bed and, guided by the fragrant breeze, walked through the creaky wooden door of the house. Barefoot, feeling the cool dew on her skin, she followed a winding path of stones to a hidden passage among the trees. As she passed through the ancient iron gate, she realized the world around her had changed. The wind blew in golden hues, flowers bloomed in a silent ballet under the moonlight, and at the center of it all, a woman in flowing robes awaited her. "Welcome to the Garden of Dreams, Elodie," said the woman in a soft, hypnotic voice. She was the garden's guardian. Elodie's eyes widened. How did this woman know her name? How could this place feel so alive, so real, and yet so ethereal? "Who are you?" she murmured. The guardian smiled, extending a small, clear quartz crystal that glowed with a welcoming light. "I am merely the one who guides those who come here. You have crossed the border of dreams, and now you stand between two worlds. But do not fear, for this garden is not a place of dread, but of answers." She felt that everything she had ever sought was here, but a question lingered in her mind. If the Garden of Dreams was a place of rest and serenity, why did the wind whisper secrets as if something awaited her? The breeze in the Garden of Dreams was different. It carried the perfume of night-blooming flowers and the distant sound of a melody with no apparent source, as if the very air sang a forgotten song. Elodie felt her skin tingle under the silver light that danced around her, but there was no fear, only a deep peace, as if she were finally where she belonged. The garden's guardian approached with light steps, her bare feet barely touching the dewy grass. Her long, dark hair cascaded like silk veils around her serene face. Her eyes, an ethereal blue, seemed to hold the reflection of every star in the sky. "This garden is a portal, Elodie. A refuge for those who wander between sleep and wakefulness." The young woman looked around, taking in every detail. The garden's flowers were not ordinary. Some glowed in golden hues, others changed color as the wind touched them. Tiny blue fireflies hovered over the bushes, as if guarding secrets in their flickering lights. "Am I dreaming?" Elodie murmured. The guardian smiled. "Yes and no. The Garden of Dreams exists beyond time. It reveals itself only to those who need to find something, or someone." Elodie's heart tightened at those words. There was something her mind was trying to reach, a memory hidden in the shadows of her consciousness. "Why me?" she asked. The guardian raised her hand and with a delicate gesture asked Elodie to do the same. When the young woman extended her hesitant fingers, she felt the guardian's palm against hers, and a wave of warmth coursed through her body, bringing with it fragments of forgotten memories. A room lit by candles, a soft voice singing a lullaby, the scent of lavender and jasmine, the touch of loving hands in her hair. Elodie gasped. "My grandmother." The guardian nodded. She knew this place, and she knew that one day you would find your way here. Elodie's chest filled with an unfamiliar emotion. She vaguely remembered the stories her grandmother used to tell when she was little, fables about a garden where dreams came to life, where those who had passed could be felt again, where secrets of the heart were whispered by the wind. But she never imagined it was real. The guardian took a step back and pointed to a narrow path that wound between trees with silver leaves. "If you wish to understand the reason for your coming, you must walk to the heart of the garden." Elodie hesitated. Part of her wanted to run, to return to the safety of her bed. But another part, the one that always felt incomplete, yearned to go forward. She took a deep breath and began to walk. With each step, the air around her seemed to vibrate softly, as if the garden itself recognized her. Small golden particles danced in the wind, enveloping her like a protective cloak. She felt light, as if floating between earth and sky. And then she saw it. At the heart of the garden, an ancient stone fountain spouted crystal clear, luminous water. Carved into its edges were ancient faces and symbols. But what made Elodie's heart skip a beat was the figure standing beside the fountain. A woman with hair as white as snow, wearing a light blue cloak adorned with flowers. Her gentle eyes sparkled as they met Elodie's. "Ma petite." Tears welled up in Elodie's eyes before she could contain them. It was her. It was her grandmother. Time seemed to slow as Elodie saw her grandmother. The wind whispered softly, as if the garden itself awaited this reunion. The old woman's gentle eyes were filled with tenderness, and her presence exuded the same calm Elodie had always felt as a child, nestled in her arms. "Ma petite, my little one." Her grandmother's voice was a delicate echo. Elodie took a hesitant step forward, dancing with the breeze. Her heart pounded in her chest, torn between emotion and disbelief. "Grandma!" Her voice came out trembling, almost afraid that everything would disappear if she spoke too loudly. The old woman smiled, and an ethereal glow shimmered around her. She wasn't entirely solid, but neither was she just a shadow. She was something in between, a living reflection of a memory. "I've been waiting for you, dear." Her words carried a deep tenderness, but also a hidden meaning. She knew Elodie would come. "What's happening? How am I seeing you?" The young woman moved closer, her eyes brimming with emotion. Her grandmother extended her hand. Her touch was not cold or frightening. It was warm, like sunlight filtered through curtains at dawn. "You have found the garden of dreams, and that means you are ready to remember. Elodie furrowed her brow. Remember what? The garden's guardian, who had remained silent near the fountain, now spoke up. Not all who sleep dream, and not all who dream can cross the veil. But you, Elodie, were born with a gift, and your grandmother knew it. The young woman blinked, confused. The wind swirled around her, and small petals began to spin in the air, forming a delicate circle. Her grandmother looked at the guardian and nodded, as if confirming something. The garden has always been a refuge for those who still have something to say, something to teach. I have been coming here since I passed, waiting for the right moment to help you remember who you truly are. Elodie felt a shiver run down her spine. Her mind tried to comprehend her grandmother's words, but something deeper, an inexplicable sensation, began to awaken within her. Remember what? She repeated, now almost pleading. Her grandmother smiled softly and pointed to the crystal clear water of the fountain. Look. Elodie hesitated, then leaned over the stone edge. The water's surface shimmered under the golden light emanating from the garden itself. And then images began to form. First, she saw herself as a child, playing in a field of lavender under her grandmother's watchful eye. The memory was sweet and tranquil. But soon, the images changed. Her body tensed. She saw herself sleeping. The shadows were not ordinary figures. And outside the window, they had shifting forms, shadows, fluid outlines, as if they belonged to another plane. Her grandmother placed a hand on her shoulder. Not all dreams are beautiful, ma petite. Just as the garden is a refuge for peaceful spirits, there are those who wander between worlds without finding rest, and some feed on the energy of those who dream. A shiver ran through Elodie. She looked at her grandmother, speechless. Since you were little, you had the gift of crossing the threshold of sleep and seeing beyond the veil. But without knowing it, your mind rejected these memories, locking them away in the shadows of forgetfulness. The guardian intervened with a soft tone. The insomnia that has accompanied you for years, the sense of emptiness, they were not just fleeting emotions. You felt their presence, even without remembering. Elodie's eyes widened. It all began to make sense. But why me? What does this mean? Her grandmother took the clear quartz crystal the guardian had given to the young woman and placed it in her hands. Because you have the power to protect them. The Garden of Dreams is a sanctuary, but it is also a portal. If you learn to control your connection to this place, you can bring light to those who are lost. Elodie felt a wave of warmth spread across her chest. This was why the garden called to her. This was why she never felt fully connected to the waking world. She belonged to this place. But then, a cold wind blew through the garden, sending leaves and petals swirling around the fountain. The atmosphere changed. The guardian looked beyond the trees. They have sensed that you have awakened. Elodie felt a chill run down her spine. They? Her grandmother held her hands firmly. Those who wander without rest, the ones who live in the shadows of the trees, and for the first time since she arrived, Elodie felt something watching her from the other side of the mist. Something that did not want her to remember. The cold wind that blew through the garden of dreams carried more than just leaves and petals. It brought an unknown energy, an invisible presence that Elodie could not see but felt on her skin. The guardian stood firm, her eyes gleaming with alertness. Elodie's grandmother, however, squeezed her hand reassuringly. They cannot harm you here. The garden still protects you. Elodie swallowed hard, her eyes scanning the nearby trees. Small veils of mist began to rise around the path, moving like liquid shadows. The once serene environment seemed to hold its breath. "Who are they?" she whispered, feeling as though speaking too loudly might attract something unwanted. The guardian stepped forward, her cloak billowing around her like a second layer of mist. Souls lost between sleep and awakening. Some have forgotten who they were, others refuse to leave. And there are those who feed on the dreams of the living. Elodie felt a chill run down her spine. "And I can see them?" Her grandmother smiled tenderly. "You always could, ma petite. But out of fear, you chose to forget." All her life formed in the young woman's chest. Something was missing, as if she were always looking at the world through a fogged glass. Now, the veil of forgetfulness was beginning to lift, and with it, the truth was coming to light. She was a lucid dreamer, a bridge between two worlds. "And now?" she asked, holding the quartz crystal the guardian had given her. The stone pulsed with a soft light, warming her cold hands. The guardian looked at the mist, where formless shadows began to move closer. Her grandmother touched Elodie's face gently. "If you decide to accept your gift, you can help those who still wander without finding the light. You can guide them to rest, or prevent them from stealing the energy of those who sleep." The wind blew stronger. The mist swirled around them. A whisper spread through the air. "She has awakened. She belongs to the garden. We need her." Elodie gripped the crystal tighter. What would happen if she refused? If she decided to ignore it all and simply return to her normal life? But deep down, she knew the answer. Her nightmares had always followed her. Her sleepless nights, her constant feeling of emptiness. It had never been just anxiety or exhaustion. It was a calling she had been ignoring all her life. Taking a deep breath, she lifted her face and looked at the guardian. "What do I need to do?" The woman smiled, and the mist around them seemed to recede a little. Come with me. There is something you need to see. Her grandmother took a step back, allowing Elodie to follow her own decision. I will be here when you need me, my dear, but this path is yours. Elodie looked back one last time before following the guardian along the stone path. The wind still whispered, but now its voice seemed different. Almost the stone path stretched out before Elodie, winding and shrouded in silvery mists. With each step, she felt as though the ground beneath her feet became less solid, as if she were crossing invisible layers between the real and the ethereal. The guardian walked beside her, her movements flowing like a breath of wind, guiding her deeper into the garden of dreams. The silence here was different, not empty, but filled with echoes, memories, whispers of times that seemed to exist beyond comprehension. The garden has many layers, said the guardian, and each one holds a secret. Elodie held the quartz crystal between her fingers, feeling it pulse lightly against her skin. Since receiving it, there had been a growing sensation within her, as if it were trying to awaken something dormant. Where are we going? She asked, the guardian smiled, her voice a little steadier, to where it all began. Suddenly the path ended in a clearing. At the center stood a gigantic tree, its branches reaching out to the night sky as if trying to touch the stars. Its leaves shimmered in golden hues, and around its trunk, small blue flames danced in the air. Elodie felt her heart race. This tree? The guardian nodded. The tree of dreams, the heart of this place. Elodie approached slowly, feeling the air seemed to whisper forgotten secrets, ancient memories that the garden had kept for centuries. Then, something changed. The sky, once serene, darkened suddenly. The wind stopped. The entire garden seemed to hold its breath. A cold presence spread through the air. And then they appeared. Faceless shadows emerged from the mist, silently gliding toward the tree of dreams. Their bodies had no defined shape, as if made of mist and darkness intertwined. They moved without sound, but their intentions were clear. They wanted what Elodie possessed. The guardian raised her hand, and a soft light emanated from her body, forming a protective circle around the young woman. They sense your energy. Now that you have awakened, your presence attracts those who are lost in the void. Elodie gripped the crystal tighter. The pulsing of the stone was now more intense, as if trying to guide her. What do I do? She asked, the guardian looked at her with serenity. The choice is yours. You can retreat, let the garden protect you and return to your world, or you can use your gift and do what you were born to do. The shadows approached, and Elodie felt the air around her grow colder. Her mind told her to flee, but her heart knew the truth. She did not want to run. Taking a deep breath, she closed her eyes and let herself be guided by the energy of the crystal. Images began to surface in her mind, memories of childhood, of her grandmother's stories, of the dreams that had always haunted her. She saw herself as a little girl, watching the mist through the window. She saw herself touching the darkness, feeling that something within it could be saved. And then she knew what she needed to do. She squeezed the crystal and whispered words she had never learned but somehow knew. A violet light burst from her hands, expanding through the air like a bolt cutting through the darkness. The garden responded to her call. The leaves of the tree of dreams glowed intensely, and the shadows hesitated. The luminous energy grew, enveloping the spectres in a gentle embrace. The dark forms trembled, and then they began to dissipate, not in pain, but in peace. One by one, the shadows were absorbed into the light of the tree, as if being guided back to where they belonged. And when the last remnant of darkness disappeared, the garden breathed again. The wind blew softly. The leaves whispered in relief. The sky brightened once more. Elodie opened her eyes. The guardian watched her with a discreet smile. "Now you understand." The young woman gasped, still feeling the energy vibrating in her body. She understood, and for the first time in her life, she felt whole. The garden of dreams breathed again. The shadows had dissipated, and the soft light of the tree of dreams shone more brightly, casting a golden warmth over the surroundings. The wind was now gentle, whispering words Elodie did not understand but felt in her heart. A thanks, an acceptance, a new connection being forged. Her knees weakened, and she leaned against the trunk of the tree, feeling the warmth of the wood beneath her fingers. She had never felt so much energy flowing within her. The guardian approached silently. "You have done something few can, Elodie. You guided the souls without fear, not with force, but with compassion." The young woman took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. I didn't know I could do that." The guardian inclined her head slightly. "But you knew when it was needed." She was right. When the moment came, something within Elodie just knew what to do, as if the answers had been there all along, waiting for her to accept them. Her grandmother appeared beside the guardian, her tender smile ever present. There was no more sadness in her eyes. "I always knew you would find your way, ma petite, but you had to choose for yourself." The young woman felt a lump in her throat. For years she had sought meaning for her inner void, believing something was wrong with her. But now she understood. She had not been incomplete. She had simply not remembered who she truly was. She held the quartz crystal still in her hand, feeling the vibrant energy pulsing within it. "Does this mean I belong to this place?" she asked, hesitant. The guardian smiled. "The Garden of Dreams is a part of you, but you still belong to your world. Now that you have awakened, you can walk between the two, helping those who need your light. The idea took her breath away. She could continue living her normal life and at the same time help the souls that wandered between dreams and awakening. Her grandmother touched her face, her skin warm like a ray of sunshine. And whenever you need rest, the garden will be here for you. Elodie's chest warmed. For the first time, she felt no fear, no confusion, only peace. The wind blew again, and the light around her began to soften. The garden seemed to respond to her energy, embracing her and at the same time preparing to let her go. She looked at the guardian. "Can I go home now?" The woman nodded. "Close your eyes. Breathe. The garden will know when to bring you back." Elodie obeyed. She inhaled deeply, letting calm envelop her body. The sound of the leaves rustling in the wind faded, and the sensation of being between two worlds dissipated. And then the scent of flowers, the warmth of the crystal became more subtle. And when she opened her eyes, she was back in her room. Moonlight filtered through the window, casting a silver glow over the sheets. The wind outside blew softly, carrying the aroma of lavender and jasmine. Her body was relaxed, and for the first time in years, she felt truly rested. She looked at the nightstand. The quartz crystal was there. She smiled. The garden of dreams was not a dream, and she knew she would return. The sound of birds singing mingled with the rustling of leaves as Elodie sat on the porch of her grandmother's old house, watching the pale blue morning sky. The scent of lavender in the air was the same she had felt in the Garden of Dreams, but this time it enveloped her differently, like a subtle reminder that her experience had been real. The quartz crystal lay in her palm, warm and smooth. Since she had awakened, it had not stopped glowing softly, as if carrying a fragment of the garden's energy within it. She remembered everything. It was not like the dreams that faded at dawn, dissolving into waking consciousness. What she had experienced that night had become a part of her, shaping who she was. And somehow, she felt whole for the first time. "Ma petite, you look so thoughtful." The voice came from inside the house, and for a brief moment her heart raced. But when she turned, she realized it was just the memory of her grandmother, echoing in her mind. The pain of longing was still there, but now it came with something stronger, a presence. Her grandmother had not disappeared. She was with her, in a different way. Sighing softly, Elodie closed her eyes and let herself be enveloped by the moment, by the breeze, by the sunlight, by the distant whisper of the garden within her. Then something changed. The wind blew stronger, making the curtains in the room flutter. The crystal warmed in her hand, pulsing like a living heart. And suddenly, a sensation took over her body. It was as if she were being called. She opened her eyes quickly and looked around. Nothing seemed different. The trees swayed gently, The fields of lavender stretched out in the distance, and the sky remained clear. But she knew the Garden of Dreams needed her again. Her heart raced, but not with fear. She knew what to do, with excitement. Holding the crystal firmly, she closed her eyes and took a deep breath, letting her mind relax. She felt light, felt part of the wind, the flowers, the sky. And then the breeze carried her spirit back to the garden. When she opened her eyes again, she was there. Golden mist danced around her, and brilliant petals moved in the air like tiny floating stars. The garden had called her. In the center of the clearing, the guardian awaited her. Elodie smiled, a satisfied smile on her lips. The call was strong. The guardian nodded and took a step forward. Now that you have awakened, you belong to both worlds. But your journey is just beginning, Elodie. The garden needs you. The young woman gripped the crystal, feeling her energy expand around her. She was ready for her new mission, ready to walk between dreams and wakefulness, and above all, ready to help those who needed to find the light. In the days that followed, Elodie began to notice subtle changes in her waking life. The world seemed more vibrant, more connected. She felt the whispers of the wind differently, perceiving small signs that had previously gone unnoticed, as if the Garden of Dreams had opened her eyes to something that had always been there, but which her mind had refused to see. The quartz crystal, now a constant companion, maintained a soft glow, pulsing from time to time, as if waiting for something. Then, on the third night after her return, the call came again. She was lying down, feeling sleep approach gently, when a distant sound awakened her. A whisper, a murmur in the breeze. It was familiar. It was a plea for help. Elodie sat up in bed, feeling a chill run down her spine. The garden was calling her. Without hesitation, she held the crystal and closed her eyes. The sensation of being carried by the wind enveloped her, and when she opened her eyes again, she was back in the garden. But this time, something was different. The sky was darker. The golden light that always illuminated the garden seemed weaker, and the gentle breeze was laden with something unsettling. In the center of the clearing, the guardian awaited her with a more serious gaze. "There is someone lost, Elodie. Someone who needs your help to find their way." The young woman's heart raced. "Who is it?" The guardian looked beyond the trees, where the mist seemed to move on its own. "A soul that cannot awaken and is trapped between worlds." Elodie took a deep breath. She knew this moment would come. She was no longer just a visitor in the Garden of Dreams. Now, she was a guardian as well, and she was ready to face her first true challenge. The wind in the Garden of Dreams whispered in lower tones, carrying a weight Elodie had never felt before. The light of the floating petals was dimmer, as if the garden itself awaited in silence the unfolding of events. The guardian pointed to the dense mist that stirred beyond the trees. "She is there. Elodie's feet moved before she could think. She would not hesitate. As she advanced, the mist closed around her, making the environment opaque and indistinct. The sound of the breeze was replaced by a low murmur, like distant echoes of a forgotten memory. "Is anyone there?" Her voice sounded firm, but carried a touch of softness. She wanted to help, not frighten. And then a muffled sob came from the darkness for a few seconds. Elodie extended her hand, letting the glow of the quartz crystal illuminate the path. And then she saw her. In the middle of the mist, a figure sat on the ground, curled up like a lost child. Her hair fell over her face, hiding her expression. The young woman felt a wave of compassion wash over her. "It's okay. You are not alone." The figure trembled slightly and lifted her head. Her eyes, large, frightened, "Don't know where I am," met Elodie's. The voice was weak, laden with fear and sadness. It was a girl, perhaps a little younger than Elodie. The young woman knelt beside her, offering her hand. "You are trapped between sleep and wakefulness, but I can help you find your way back." The girl hesitated. "What if I can't? What if I never wake up?" Elodie felt a pang in her heart. That fear. It was the same she had felt for so long. "Trust me, I too have feared the quartz unknown." Crystal in her hand glowed brighter, gently, spreading a violet light around the two of them. The lost soul looked at the stone, then at Elodie. Tears streamed down her face, but a new gleam appeared in her eyes. Hope. She reached out and took Elodie's hand. In the instant their hands touched, the mist began to dissipate. The wind blew softly, and the light of the Garden of Dreams shone brightly once more. The guardian appeared in the distance. The lost soul began to become translucent, her form fading gently, like a dream coming to an end. Her eyes met Elodie's one last time. "Thank you." And then she disappeared. Silence filled the garden again, but this time it was a silence of peace, not fear. Elodie stood up slowly, her heart light. She had done it, alone. She had guided a soul back to its place. The guardian approached. "Are you ready to accept who you truly are?" The young woman closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the energy around her. She was no longer just a visitor to the garden, she was a part of it. And finally, she smiled. Yes. The Garden of Dreams shimmered once more, bathed in the soft light of the Tree of Dreams. The wind now blew gently, carrying a comforting aroma of wildflowers. Peace had returned. Elodie remained there for a moment, feeling the energy of the place. For the first time she felt no doubts, no fear, only certainty. The guardian watched her with a calm gaze. "You have found your way." The young woman smiled and looked at the crystal in her hand. It still pulsed softly, like a reminder that her journey was just beginning. Helping that girl, It was the most natural thing I've ever done, because it has always been a part of you, the guardian replied. Now that you have awakened, the guardian
Elodie
will
took a
always
deep
call
breath.
you when it needs you. She knew her life would never be the same, but for the first time that did not frighten her. She looked up at the starry sky of the garden and closed her eyes. It was time to return. The breeze danced around her, and her mind began to relax, as if being cradled by the very air. When she opened her eyes again, she was back in her room. The first ray of morning sun filtered through the window, warming her skin. The quartz crystal lay on her chest, still emitting a faint glow. She smiled. The Garden of Dreams was real, and she knew she would return. The guardian of the Garden of Dreams smiles and says, "Now, dear traveler, it is time to return to the physical world. You are filled with peace and serenity, and you are connected with your true essence." Dear traveller of the enchanted worlds of stories, as Elodie's tale unfolds and the Garden of Dreams begins to bid farewell, allow the energy of this narrative to envelop you. If you are about to sleep, may this tale lull you into a deep and restful slumber, where every dream is a step toward your true essence. And for those who are awake, may the light of Saint Germain and the violet flame illuminate your consciousness. Just as Elodie discovered her purpose and her connection to the world of dreams, you too can find clarity and strength within yourself. The violet flame is a symbol of purification and renewal, and it is always ready to help you release the tensions and worries of the day. Remember that, just like the clear quartz crystal that guided Elodie, you too carry within you a beacon of light and potential. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and connect with this energy. Feel yourself embraced by the serenity of the Garden of Dreams and the wisdom of Saint Germain. Repeat to yourself, "I am light, I am renewal, I am pure potential." Let these words resonate within you, activating your inner energy and connecting you to your source of inspiration and creativity. Now, visualize a golden sphere around you, with silver rays weaving a protective and calming force field. This field is your personal barrier against negative energies and external influences, allowing you to connect deeply with your own energy and essence. May Elodie's story serve as an inspiration for you. Be a guardian of your own peace and a beacon of light for those around you. Trust your intuition and the wisdom that flows through you. Good night, dear traveller. May your sleep be sacred and your awakening illuminated. The Garden of Dreams and the violet flame are always with you, in every breath and every moment of stillness. Sleep well, dear traveller. Sleep well. Namaste.